Feels like his home, right?
Feels like
see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. One thing is for certain. The Oklahoma Sooners had a terrible offensive line in 2024. It ain't going to happen again in 2025. Let's discuss coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks again for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Also, go check out the Locked On College Basketball podcast with our guys, Andy Patton and Isaac Shade, getting you ready for all of the March Madness happening out there. The Oklahoma Sooners are looking to rebound from what was a very disappointing season in 2024. A lot of it due to injury, a lot of it due to poor performance along the offensive line and at wide receiver. So, Jay, there's a lot to be encouraged by and optimistic about, but why do you think that Oklahoma's offensive line is going to be much, much better in 2025?
Let's start with this. We've only got two guys actually on the roster, and one of them that I actually expect to get some run at some point that are under 300 pounds. Everybody's over 290, which is even better. So we've got that big, bulky offensive line we've been looking for. Troy Everett leads the way as the main guy at center. And as we talked about before, I even talked about this on my live stream, and somebody was asking me, what do you mean by that? Derek Simmons has been raved about in practices over the last couple of weeks. And the big thing that everybody keeps saying is that he's country strong. I remember hearing Gabe and Teddy talk about him. It's like, he's strong. Like, he country strong, as in he's out in the fields grabbing barrels of hay and he's chunking them. That means his hands will grip you and they won't let go no matter what you try. It's like when you have like a 1-year-old, John. I know you understand this. 1-year-old get a hold of something and you got to pry their little hands open off of it, noodles or hair or whatever. They just won't let go. Derek Simmons is that dude. Just imagine that as a grown man doing the exact same thing. I expect this line to be way more improved because of that.
The example I can best come up with, I was working on something with my father-in-law one time. My father-in-law has been ranching with his father for decades, and we were working on something, and he wanted me to just loosen the bolt. Just use your hand and loosen the bolt. I tried, could not do it. It would not budge 1 inch, 1 millimeter for me. He just reaches up there with his big old bear paw and just does it. I'm like, come on, Pop. What are we doing?
Pause. Massive pause.
Yeah.
Put the pause on you.
It just has that grip strength. It's just a different kind of strength. It's not something that, I mean, you can train it and you can develop it and you can improve it, but a lot of guys, they just have it and they have that grip strength, that ability to latch onto you. And once they latch on, they don't let go. That is an important aspect of playing offensive line, being able to latch on in a way that doesn't create a holding. But I think Derek Simmons is a reason to be optimistic. This is a guy that got teams like Florida State were coming after. And I know Florida State was down in 2024, but just a year before that, they were making big portal splashes, or 2 years before that, making big portal splashes with guys like Jordan Travis and Jared Verse and putting Florida State in a position to be a national title contender. So don't minimize the fact that, okay, a stinko Florida State team was going after Derek Simmons. No, that's a very good evaluating program. This is a guy that's going to be a major impactful player for the Sooners at right tackle. I think it helps to solidify at least one side of your offensive line as you're still trying to figure out, okay, who's my left guard, who's my left tackle. If I know that center, right guard, right tackle are solidified, I'm good to go. If I'm not having to figure out all 5 of these spots like they were a year ago.
Yeah, that's the one thing you want to do is figure out all the spots. But honest, for me, if I want the weakest links, I want them on the right, because then the quarterback can see it and quickly get rid of the ball or have a plan to be able to alleviate some of the stress that's going to come from a struggling portion of the offensive line. But, John, when I look at this, I'm looking at what Bill Beatonbow's putting together here. And we all know this, as Gabe Eichert has said this numerous times, Bill Beatonbow does not care about your star ranking. He does not care about how much money you make. He doesn't care about how much clout you got. If you don't know the plays in practice, if you're not executing well, you ain't playing. So if you wonder why certain people are playing and others aren't, it's probably because one knows the playbook and is executing, other one is not in practice. So that being said, let's take a look at this line and let's lay down who we believe could be the offensive line. My initial starting lineup for today, which is March 18th, day at St. Patrick's Day, my luck says left tackle, I'm riding with Jacob Sexton. I think Jake Sexton's going to keep that spot. Guard, Eddie Pierre-Louis at the left. Center, Troy Everett. Right, Fabici Webu's going to continue to earn that spot because he was the most consistent dude. Well, he's only due to play every game last year. And then right tackle, I think Derek Simmons walks in and takes that spot as the senior, and that's his play. What you got?
Yeah, I think that's a reasonable offensive line projection at this point. The only issue with Jacob Sexton has been his health.
Yeah.
We've seen flashes from him. We just haven't been able to see him stay on the field consistently. So the biggest key here is making sure that your backup tackle situation, whether it's Luke Buklenko, Michael Fasusi, Isaiah Autry, Logan Howland, having that group, having one guy or two guys that you feel confident can step in for Jacob Sexton if he's injured. Because until you prove to me that you won't get injured, I'm not expecting you to play a full 13, 14, 15, 16 games.
Yep.
So having Michael Fasusi up and running, ready to go, which by all accounts, he's looking really good so far. Having Luke Buklenko, to me, Luke Buklenko fits better as a right tackle behind Derek Simmons than maybe as a left. But Isaiah Autry-Dent, getting him ready to take snaps at left tackle, making sure Logan Howland is healthy enough to be able to contribute in 2025. That's the key, is not having as significant of a drop-off as we did last year when Michael Tarkin went down with injury, or when you had to go to Spencer Brown at right tackle. It was a significant drop-off, and it had a big impact in games. Late games against Ole Miss, your attempt to try to come back against South Carolina, all of these things, you didn't have the ability to go to your twos and feel good about it. So now you have to be in a position where you feel much better about going to your two if you have to, because your left tackle got injured or your right guard got injured or whatever. I feel better about the depth that they have. Now I just need to see it playing out on the field. I think the thing that will benefit them the most is they have a decisive quarterback that's going to hit his drop and make his throw. He's not going to hold on to the ball.
Yeah. And that's the good thing, is you got a quarterback that's going to be decisive. We've already seen in quote unquote the footage, the propaganda that's being placed by OU football out there to show you guys and to get that sunshine pumping going out there. Look, y'all got to understand, you're going to get sunshine pumping from every single college football program, because everybody right now is 0-0. No one's won a game. No one's lost a game. So everybody's on equal footing. So everybody's going to pump. It's okay. Yep. It's okay to be excited about something. If you feel like you're going to be our jury, just don't come back until August. Then in August, get hyped, because football will be here. It'll be hot too. So you're probably going to be irritated anyway, but that's not the point. The point is, John, that this offensive line will be better than last year, because they've got 1 year of experience, and we saw a bunch of moments of shining where we saw them be excited. Because, John, you even said this last season when you did the calculations in PFF, they counted up the time to throw, the TTT. We were up there at one of the tops. Like, you had like 3 seconds to throw the ball on a regular basis, 2 seconds and like 2.9 seconds or 2.7 seconds. It was ridiculous. You're like, wow, we actually had the time. It's all about getting rid of the ball. Now we have a quarterback that we believe will let that thing go, or he gonna tuck and go.
Yep. And that's why you hear in the last few years so many analysts talk about quarterback or sacks being a quarterback stat.
Yeah, it's me. I'm one of those.
Yeah, me too. Because the quarterback has more influence over pressure and sacks than the offensive line does. Because the quarterback can see what's going to be coming. He can move around to avoid the pressure. He can get rid of the ball to avoid pressure, or he can scramble to avoid that pressure. And if you have a quarterback that's getting sacked a lot, it's probably because they're not seeing it well, they're not getting rid of it, they're not moving in the pocket well, and they're not bailing when they need to, or they're bailing too early. And I think we saw a lot of that last year with Jackson Arnold. There were a lot of issues with his pocket mobility, his pocket presence. And there were a lot of issues with him not getting rid of the football on time. If you can improve those things, which it looks like John Mateer is going to be very able to get rid of the ball, move around in the pocket well, and see the blitzes coming at him a little bit better because he's more experienced, that's going to help your offensive line immensely. And I think that's going to help the offense be a whole lot better than what it was last year. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. Follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube. Follow me at John Knighton Williams. You can also read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. Boomer
Sooner. Let's get Tulsa here. They need to come on and play.
Yeah, come on, Tulsa.
Spring game with Tulsa.
Kevin Wilson revenge game.
Let's go.